Okay, um, this is my fifth video. Uh, yeah, I'm doing this video because I've come to terms with some things that I am not very proud of. If any of you have watched my last videos, I have been trying to get in touch with myself, and I didn't realize how much pain I was going to go through doing this. Um, I wrote about before saying that I used to be in tune with this, and I was presented a question of if I would come and do the work that I was told to do. And at the time, like I said, no one in the physical was around me, and no one seemed to be on the same page, so I felt all alone. I didn't realize that when I was posed that question that it was a leap of faith that I had to take, and I had to trust, that I had to embrace on my own. And by shutting it down, by basically rejecting it, was probably one of the biggest mistakes I ever made. I had seen so many things, and I was pretty confident in the fact that God existed. I had seen his work, her work, her work. I had seen more things than a lot of people were ever privy to see, at least at that time. And I became the ultimate thing that I have sought to stay away from forever, which was a hypocrite. And by me wanting to come on board now, it was the biggest hypocritical thing I could have ever done. Because when it was posed to me to start my work, I was scared. I was alone. And so I didn't take advantage of it at the time. And it is selfish, and it is hypocritical of me to think that I would be able to do this when there came a time that everybody seemed to be more on board. It's like I was given the opportunity to start on my own. I was given the opportunity to start God's work on my own, and I shut it down. And now that I see that more people are on the same path, it's like I kind of feel like I want to join in. I kind of feel like that kid that wasn't allowed to go on the field trip, was offered admission to the field trip, and said, well, if no one else is going to go on the field trip, then I'm not going to go alone. And now that everybody's going on the field trip, I kind of feel like I want to go now, and that's the biggest hypocritical thing I could have done. And that kills me because that's something that I've been trying to run away from forever. I hate hypocrisy, and I have now become the thing I love to hate. And I'm going to have to deal with that decision until I can come to terms with myself and forgive myself. But being as critical as I am of myself, and I've never been critical of others. I never really judged others because I always used to say, they're blind and they're ignorant and they're just learning. And I always held myself to a higher standard. And I've come to realize that it's that higher standard that I now face. That me being somebody who knew, me being somebody who was aware, turning away from what I knew, was worse than those that are blind. Because when you know nothing, you can't be held accountable for anything. But when you know that it exists, that, there is life after that, that God's omniscience is everywhere, that is in every fiber of every body, of everything, of every animal, of every living creature on this earth, and to be called upon to do that work and turn it down. I don't know who I thought I was to think that I could just regain that, because it's ludicrous to think I could have done that. I am now going to have to deal with my own consequences, my own judgment. I mean, it's one of the hardest and saddest things that I've had to go through. And I'm ready for it. I made the decision to reject it, and if that means that all my brothers and sisters go on without me, it'll suck. But I made the decision. At the time, I was not aware of the severity, but that's not what was in question. What was in question was, did I have the faith? Did I have... I'm sorry, I'm crying. It's just I wanted to share this for all of you that maybe at a point where you're like, do I go and help, or do I just sit back and wait? And if you're at that pivotal point, just go do the work, because being left behind is not a walk in the park. I don't know who I thought I was that I could just reclaim this. I thought that I could become a part of it again at any chosen time that I chose to become a part of it, and it doesn't work like that. I chose to ignore it, and I will have to learn how to forgive myself, and that in itself will be a very hard task, because I've always held myself to such a high regard for being open and courageous and dealing with everything alone, and I became the ultimate thing I hated. So to respect myself at this point is very hard. I am so mad at myself. And even though they may not see it like that, I do. And until I can deal with these demons, until I can forgive myself the way I forgive others, I will never achieve what I need to achieve. So it is easier to forgive others than it is to forgive yourself. And if I am stuck here in the physical, in this dimension, and my only addition to this mission is that I can help those around me, then I will have to bear that burden. I will always help others. I will always give myself to others. That has always been my nature. I've always sacrificed myself to help others, because I always felt that I would be able to deal with the pain and strife and sorrow more than most people. So I took it as a burden, and I was okay with that, and I've always been okay with that. But now that I'm trying to regain who I was, and I've come to this roadblock and realizing that I have to forgive myself for going into a full circle, for coming back to the same spot that I started at 8 years ago, to know that now I have learned nothing. Well, I mean, I haven't not learned nothing. I've learned that I basically did this. And I am mad at myself for spending 8 years coming to that realization. That it was always there. It was always there for me to take advantage of back then. And I pissed it all away. And I don't know if I could forgive myself for that. I could try to get out of the pity party that I'm having, try to move forward, and realize that I'm in a point where I'm going to have to work really hard to regain the confidence and the security and the know-how that I had in myself. And I hope that I will be able to do that. because until I'm able to heal myself, I cannot go on forward, because that doubt and that overwhelming feeling of mistrust that I have for myself is always weighing me down. And for those of you who are just starting your journey and feel like they're all alone, please just take hold of the reins and do it, because being alone is better than realizing that you may never get back on board. That fear is worse than anything else. Being stuck here and going through life is scarier than anything I'll ever have to face.